Going live.
When it was
Ladies
23.
and gentlemen, I was telling these like really mean individuals that they didn't tell me to buy Bitcoin at 21,000. And now the sucker's at 36,000.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, I thought you guys were supposed to help me make money. And instead, you know, you didn't really do your big brother job.
Right. We're just holding it all to ourselves and pushing SoFi on you. We're the we're the opposite. We're keeping you from buying good stocks.
You didn't tell me this thing would shoot up to 36,000 within 4 days. You didn't tell me that thing.
Right.
I mean,
what happens when it goes to 100,000? What are you going to say to us then?
I'm sorry, but you are going to feel really bad.
I'm going to say you guys should have told me to buy it.
The thing is, you're going to look back. I think the day that it hits 100,000, we should go back and look at the first video where we told you to buy and just play it over and over. But you're like, you know, but drug dealers use it, but I want Palantir.
You know? Look,
okay,
no,
Palantir is like $200. That wouldn't be bad either, you know.
Yeah, no, look, Palantir might do what it's going to do, but that's not the point. The point is, you know, there are certain assets you don't want to miss out on in life, and like Bitcoin is one of those because it's like life-changing things can happen with it. So risking 1%, as we've talked about many times, it doesn't mean anything if you lose it, and it means everything if you don't lose it, and it does what it's supposed to do.
The other thing is I sat up one of those nights that I couldn't sleep and actually started doing some calculations, right? So the day that Bitcoin jumped $9,000, it added $70 billion in market cap from a few $100 million. It was a few $100 million invested, but added $70 billion in market cap. But just think about that for a second. $70 billion in market cap was at the time almost double the entire market capitalization of Palantir. That just goes to show you how much money is sitting on the sides waiting to buy this asset. Like if $70 billion, if Palantir jumped up by 70 billion, or if $353 million went into Palantir in a single day, I mean, that thing would be $50. Do you understand what I'm saying? It just goes to show you how much pent up demand there is for this asset that has just been waiting for the regulatory hurdles to be cleared. And apparently,
let me
for assassinations.
I mean, we went up, but it's pumping because of I think the BlackRock ETF, which everybody, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to get approved. We'll see what happens, though. I think 2024 year is going to be the big year.
I think that's
at the end of the year. I think it's going to be a massive year. Hopefully, it's me and Carlos's escape velocity moments. And you might not see us on the pod because $200 don't mean shit after 2025.
I actually had a whole really sad moment the other night, like where I was looking at my property taxes and they like reassessed my property. And I don't know. I had this moment the other day where I was like, is there any amount of money I could make where you leave me alone? You know, like just feeling like all of your money just goes to taxes and other things. I don't know. I had this moment where I was like, I don't know if I can make enough money. Even if everything hit my target numbers, will it still be enough? Will I still have to fucking work? I don't know. I was a bit depressed the other night thinking about it. I was like, fuck.
Well, as a Russian Jew,
you can imagine why rich people get.
I said as a Russian Jew, so if someone offers me a job, I take it no matter what, even if I'm sitting there on a boatload of cash. I'm
but okay. Like I literally did the math. I was like, okay, if I paid off my house and I paid off all my debts and I paid off this and I had this much money in the bank, like would I be able to? And I started thinking about all the ways that you still have to pay. Like you're never. It's nothing.
Do you think we should have no taxes then?
No, I think that should be a flat tax. I do think that there should be a flat tax and they should eliminate some taxes. Like what I'm going through now is my property was reassessed and my property taxes shot up for apparently these renovations. And so I spent 4 hours dealing with like arguing it on ChatGPT, looking for the legalities of it. I'm working with my accountants on it. But apparently if I go and buy a new refrigerator for my home, I upgrade their appliances because they were old, my house goes up in value and I now suddenly have to pay higher property taxes. And the people in my neighborhood are complaining to the local authorities here that that's basically not incentivizing people or de-incentivizing people to better their homes. Because if I purchase a certain amount of money out of pocket to make my home better, for the rest of the time that I live there, I'm going to have to pay and increase property taxes, which basically negates, like it's basically paying upfront for the appreciation on the home. Now I understand why people wait till the last month before they move to renovate their homes. They wait till the last minute, renovate their homes, and then they go ahead and they flip it, because now I have to pay thousands of dollars extra for just trying to make my home better, you know, which
that's if you do it legally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you do that, then you have the permits and all that stuff. But I'm literally going to look for some school board, not school board, a local board meeting, and I'm going to try to bring this thing up. And I'm just going to be like, if I hire people to renovate my home, I'm adding to the economy, right? I mean, I'm bettering my home, but I'm adding to the economy. These are people that now have jobs, that spent money, food. I also spent money in local businesses here, buying products and services that I needed to better my home. Like I've added and contributed value to the community by doing some work on my home. Why am I now penalized for it on the back end by having to pay thousands of dollars? It's basically a percentage of the renovations that I did.
It's a reassessment though. Those I'm not sure how California works, but reassessments in New York and New Jersey happen at certain points. It's not at least in New Jersey, it's not every year. So they send you a letter and they say basically, hey, we're reassessing this year. Jersey City, by the way, I think they didn't reassess for like 10, 20 years. Like it was crazy.
Really?
No, I get reassessed every year, but this year was a massive jump up. And no, who was it that commented that? Bill White. I'm kidding. Yes, technically, if I do, and I looked this up. I mean, I went back and forth with ChatGPT on this thing for hours. If I do buy new appliances, that is considered a home improvement, and it does increase the value of the home. But it's more about like, you know, a kitchen, a bathroom, or like new floors or whatever.
Yeah, nobody's like, I just bought a refrigerator. I mean, the reassessment guy, come on in.
No, it's not like
Check
that.
out this one.
But the only ones that are exempt, and I don't know how it is in other states, the only ones that are exempt is if you do things for efficiency or safety. So if I were to renovate my home to, I don't know, to put a water filter or something,
the solar, right?
Water or solar, something like that.
Right.
Technically, that would be considered an exemption because I'm making the home whatever. But still, it's a wash. Although, you know what I think happened? I'm starting to think about this. Like, why was this not? Why is this just happening now? I actually think, and this is a question for you, Vitaly. I have a call out to the girl who sold me the home to ask her this. Those guys that came and assessed my house, that wanted to buy it and basically gave me a new value of what the home would be, and decided that they didn't want to buy it because there was no money for them to make. Is there a sort of public record that they had to put their findings upon? Because they basically did an inspection, and they are brokers that represent buyers. They represented the buyer that I.
Yeah, but that's not the city reassessment. That's not the same thing.
But is there any sort of like public like database that they input this information? Because they took, they took a lot of information down about what I've done. Anyway, I got paranoid and I was like, it was those motherfuckers.
No. I don't, and the city can't just reassess you based on some third party. That can't happen. Well, they have to do their own thing where they do hire assessors to come knock on your door. And I actually was not around. So if they can't get in, they just make an estimate. And that's probably the best thing you can do is just don't let them in.
Done it. Well, I've gotten those knocks at the door, and I've definitely seen like people coming, taking pictures of all the homes.
You're like, check out my toilet. It's floating and it's warm and it's heated. You're like, oh, this guy's rich. He's got a toilet that's heated.
All right, let me do a proper introduction to the pod now that people are here. Thank you everybody for being here. Vitaly is alive. He ditched us for the past month to go make some money.
I'm still doing it.
He's to buy the end phase dip.
Oh, yeah.
To buy the end phase dip. So we'll talk about that.
I had to go back to work.
He's like, oh damn. He's like, shit, everything's down.
Oh my God.
My wife kicked me out of the house. I'm back at work.
You told me we were gonna.
Has your wife been covering it? Does she know about the end phase drop? Like, does she care?
She doesn't give a shit about the end phase drop.
Doesn't
dude.
Give a shit. Okay. Good.
Yeah. She got a pool out there in the back. All right, that's her end phase drop. Right, that's her end phase.
V getting some love in the chat. The show is much better when V is here. I agree. When the four amigos are here, it's much better. So before we officially start the show, I want to just show a couple of tweets that we tweeted out last night. There's this trend about quote tweeting old pictures of yourself. So I tweeted something normal. Okay, this is me with my Alex Carp hair in 1997, looking very normal, very chill.
I saw that picture. What were you holding? Is that
I was holding seasoning. So my mom made sure that I
had a feeling.
Had the spice when I was little.
Who was that little girl again?
My mom dressed me up in a girl outfit when I was little. She took so many pictures of me in a dress because I looked like a girl.
It looks like you got a lot of poop in that.
You still do. Yeah, those diapers. Someone needs to change you.
But then this is what V tweeted, and we got to talk about this. First of all, Carlos, you look like you look like a stud. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. Vitaly looks like a stud in his own way. He's going to get. You got the hat on. Vitaly has the hair. Like, you guys look like you're meant to be.
Wait, who do you think was Vitaly? The guy in the left or the guy in the middle?
The guy in the middle, 100%.
Okay, I thought you were thinking the guy.
I thought it was Alex, right? Like, wait a minute, dude.
That's a different Russian on the left.
No, it's Vitaly. They're like, you guys literally look. For those that don't know, they were in a band called Occasional Handjob.
Hey, yeah,
we used to be like you're meant to be in a band called Occasional Handjob.
Yeah. We used to get the ladies. It was good.
I thought that photo was in the video store. Like there used to be video stores where people would go and actually rent VHSs, and we used to practice underneath one. But I think that was actually your house. Your mom's house.
I think it's my garage. That's what I
garage.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question. What was life actually like at this time? Like, go back to this time, 20 years ago. You're in the same body. Let's start with V, then Carlos. What was life truly like? What did you enjoy about life at that time?
You know what? I didn't take enough advantage sleeping with enough high school girls when I was in that. So I have more regrets about that than anything. But
you didn't hook up with enough chicks. That's what you're saying.
You know, I really didn't. I was actually very shy. I did like playing music, and we played a lot of clubs, but I was very shy around women until basically in my 20s and 30s when I blossomed and came out of my shell. And by then it was too late. I met my wife basically. But it was a great time to play music. I mean, the 90s, I don't know if you guys know that.
Such a good time for music.
Grunge, rock and roll. Like it was great to play music.
Linkin
People
Park.
wanted to see music. Linkin Park. Oh my God.
That was after. That was like 2000s.
That was probably the last time you can actually play music as an indie band. And you know, we didn't have the internet, but people would come to your show. It was a good time to play live music. That's what I got to say about that.
And everything was outside. Like you went outside. You barely ever stayed at home. Like I don't remember ever like coming home and just being like, oh yeah, let me just stay at home and just do nothing all day. Like it was just like, hey mom, I'm dad, I'm home. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends at the park or or whatever. And so we were out all the time.
Yeah, there was no iPads. We did have some computers, of course, but they were rudimentary. So, yep, we had to go outside.
Did you guys feel like you were living that dream though of being in a band and like going for the glory? Like, did you feel
okay in that year in 95? In that year, we were working at a camp. We were all three of us were camp counselors. We met at a camp, and we were camp counselors and met there. And we would go and practice at Vitaly's house, and the video store. And then Alex had that other singer, that Indian kid. Remember that Indian kid who was like the screamer kid? Mm-hmm. And we'd practice in his house. His parents were like wealthy and they were never home. So we would practice there sometimes. And it was, I don't realize, man, looking back at it now, we were living the fucking dream. I mean, if you think about it, like every day after school or every day after work, we would hang out. On the weekends, we would have like beach parties on Brighton Beach and then go back to somebody's house and hang out, or we'd play a show. Or even sometimes band practice was the spot. Remember, we would just get a bunch of people together and like play a show at the house.
Yeah, like it's the time when we invited people like come over to the garage. We're gonna play some fucking loud music.
Yeah,
and I think some people are in the back there hanging out.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to explain how cool that was because it was so normal. But now, I mean, as a guy, in my 40s now.
What year was this? 95.
That was August 19th.
There you go. It's right there. 1995.
Oh, wow.
If that's correct, if it should be correct.
Well, that's when it was taken. Yeah, that's when it was taken. 1995. That's crazy.
Yeah,
summer.
It was the summer.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and we had all the benefits of that because when we weren't playing shows, we would go see shows. That place, L'Amour's, was so cool. We would just go down there.
CBGB's was still around.
CBGB's, we'd go down there and like you go see shows, and they were really small. So you go down there with the same friends that you were jamming with. We all had girlfriends, or you kind of swap girls. It was kind of fun. Not gonna lie.
All right. Not bad at all. So thank you all for being here. We're back.
You forgot about KRIS. You forgot about KRIS. He looked like some sort of a lion.
KRIS, you got to show the picture.
Is your photo gone, KRIS? Because I can't find
he posted a photo.
Oh, he erased it.
I think I might have erased it.
And then I want to know what you were doing in
I tried to pull you up.
And then I want to know what you were doing in 95.
I was a sperm cell inside of my dad's ball
sack. You were swimming?
He was in a ball sack.
No, really? When were you born?
No, I'm serious. 97, I was born. So 95, I was a sperm cell.
Here we are playing in a garage, some rock and roll. And this guy's not even semen.
That's what I'm saying. How does that change, say, how you see Vitaly and I? In 1985, we took that picture playing in a band, rocking out, hanging with chicks, and you were not even conceived.
No, it doesn't make me seem you guys. Look, I'm gonna get to your age one day, and some kid's gonna, think that I'm super old. It's like it is what it is. It's a process of. I'm 26 now. I'm not a young kid anymore. I'm like in my late 20s, gonna be 30 in 4 years. So it's not like you guys are old to me at all. To be honest,
We were a little
I'm just trying to get as much money as you guys have, which is why I wish you told me to buy Bitcoin at 20, but you didn't do that. So it is what it is. I told you to buy Palantir at 6 though, so I helped you, but you didn't help me. So
I bought some, and I'm actually, if I had time,
you also told us to buy Palantir at 20.
I did. I also told you that. Now you're breaking even. Yeah. All right, let's get into the first topic of the day. We got to discuss this.
Wait, hold on. I'll show you the picture. Hold on. One second.
Okay, Chris. Yeah. I was trying to pull it up, Chris, but I couldn't find it. So
yeah, let me just get it 2 seconds. Hold on. I had to.
Thank you all for being here. 9 p.m. is the new day. Every single day, 9 p.m. Every night. So hopefully you guys have some time to relax when you get home from work. You know,
at least for a few weeks. I kind of go back to that other weird schedule in December. But we'll
figure that out.
This was me and one of my fraternity brothers who I don't even know his name anymore. So this is probably
what gang signs are you? What's your sect, Chris?
So I was in a fraternity. I was in a fraternity, and one of the signs that you put up was the shocker, which is Sig Rho. So I mean, yeah. So this was me in college, and then this was me like right after that. Hold on.
So did your wife meet you looking that good?
No. She met me a little bit later.
She bought at the top.
She bought at this phase.
No, she bought at the bottom.
When did she buy? Yeah, when did she buy in? Let's see how her investment.
This was the buy-in for her.
She waited till Chris fell apart, like all of his shorts.
No. She waited till Chris had money, bro. She waited till this guy was rich.
She was smart woman. That was me post simp phase. Like I had a simp phase.
It's like a Backstreet Boy thing.
Yeah, I had a simp phase when I was in college.
This is why is this such a seductive picture to me? This is so seductive when I look at it.
You can tell how old this is by the fucking BlackBerry. That was like I I am anti iPhone. I am pro BlackBerry. So that was actually my BlackBerry. I forgot which version it was, but yeah, this was it? I don't know. Whatever it was.
Were you the guy writing all those things about Apple's overvalued in 2009? Because BlackBerry's coming back.
Man. See, this is the part. That's the part.
Honestly, that selfie looks like the photo that you send a dude who's
the selfie's great
in his house when you're in his house to his girlfriend that you just stole.
Yeah. No, let me tell you this is one of the reasons why I'm not a buy and hold forever guy. It's because I bought and hold fucking BlackBerry.
Oh, you had BlackBerry?
Almost 4 fucking years, bro. 4 years.
Was that 2009?
How much did you lose on that? How much did you lose on BlackBerry?
Bro, I worked overtime to buy more BlackBerry shares on the way down, bro. Like, I was like, oh God, they hired a new CEO, John Chen. He just came from SAP. He did an amazing job at SAP. BlackBerry's going to turn around. It's going to be great. And so the fucking mental scarring that BlackBerry has left on my soul
Did you not
will
buy
never
Apple?
fucking go away.
Did you not just...
Huh?
Yeah, why didn't you just buy Apple? They were the winner.
Yeah, at the time, I just kept feeding into, this is a recovery play. This is a recovery
play. I'll just point it out again, but you keep looking for the second place when there's a clear winner all the time.
No.
Apple wasn't that clear in 2009. Apple was not.
Yeah, it was pretty clear.
No, it wasn't.
2006.
Otherwise, everyone would be rich if Apple was clear in
2006. It wasn't clear when the iPhone came out.
BlackBerry owned 60 to 70% of the smartphone market at the time. It's only after 2011, 2012 that BlackBerry really started to take. That Apple really started to take off. But look at the market share.
The difference was when Apple released the iPhone, it made BlackBerry's phones not look so smart anymore.
No, that's true.
You what a real smart.
No, but the point.
You were like, just my finger, touch screen.
But Carlos, that's the point.
Like a sidekick at that point.
But Carlos, that's the point. Apple was the number 2 back then. That's the point.
I know, but let me make it clear. I didn't invest in Apple, by the way. I fucked up. But everybody and their mother waited in the Apple line to buy the iPhone 1, 2, and 3. Like when I bought it too, I had to wait in a line. And Apple did a very smart thing. They made it, you wanted that product. And nobody stood in line to buy a BlackBerry. It was pretty obvious what they were doing. So if you just looked at it that way, I think it would have been obvious Apple was the clear winner.
But was it obvious? No, but was it obvious the iPhone 1 would turn into iPhone, like the longevity of that product?
No, we didn't know there would be 3 trillion. That's not the point. The point it was like 2009. It was evidence.
It wasn't even
a
$1 trillion company back then. Like the idea of 1 trillion was like never going to happen.
There was several hundred billion, probably.
No, I don't remember what Apple was.
Yeah, Apple went up a lot since the last.
Yeah, but no. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't even $1 trillion back then, and I think
it was way less than that. That's what I'm saying.
Way less. So when the thing is, when you saw that phone, it like as much as they had. Look, Apple was introducing a phone in a market that was already mature, so of course BlackBerry had the majority of the market share. But you knew that everyone was going to get this, and I know a lot of people who only switched like their BlackBerries and stuff over to Singular just so that they could be ready, because that was the only carrier you could get for the iPhone. I was one of those people that switched everything over just to prepare so it would be easier to get my iPhone. And I don't know. I think the first time you touched that, you're like, this is it. Just when you sent the text and you saw the digital screen, you were like, oh, it's over. As much as I love that BlackBerry Pro was amazing. It was a phone that you could actually type without looking, because you just knew where the keys were. You could type without looking.
But this is a valuable lesson. I think KRIS learned it. Just speak about that for a second. You don't go all in on one stock, and I don't think anyone of us.
No, I didn't go all in. I didn't go all in. The part that I think I messed up on was that I didn't realize how powerful the consumer is versus the enterprise. Because I think what it is if you thought about phones, right, back then, the smartphone market was pretty much like consumer products weren't really making that much money. Like look at all the consumer facing phones that came out back then. The T-Mobile, you remember the Flip, the Sidekick, whatever, that was one. Then you had the Motorola Razr. So you thought of it as a commodity, whereas the BlackBerry was actually like an enterprise product that was really monetizable, blah, blah, blah. So all of these things were the factor back then. Now, in hindsight, you realize that, hey, the thing that you want to be in is things that are very consumer focused, because when you focus on the consumer, you just have such a large total addressable market in comparison to enterprise, even if the operating margins on the enterprise stuff are really high. So don't underestimate consumer products, basically. Once they get into your home, they're going to live there forever,
Yeah, but okay, so I just want to go back in time, and me and Carlos did an episode on Freelancer Finance about, I think it was Amazon. We went back in time for Amazon. So if you just look, I was using Amazon since 2000, 1999. I forget. I was buying books from there for school. If you just went in on things that you were using, Google was obvious. I was using Google. I wanted to get into the IPO. I was just too young to understand any of that market cap shit and all that. So I didn't know any of it, even though I wanted to buy in. So if you just went in on all those companies that you were even using, Apple, Google, Meta, all of them, you could have been wrong about 4 of them, and you wouldn't have been. You would have been right about all of them, in fact, but you could have been wrong about 4 of them, and you would have still 20x. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I made the mistake.
I
made the mistake that Warren made. I got all the stocks right. I just didn't invest enough.
Yep.
Like I was like $2,000 is enough. I was there.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
I was literally there. Like I stopped every time any one of those companies would IPO. I bought Twitter on IPO day. I bought Facebook on IPO day. I didn't buy Google because it was too expensive.
Yep, that's what I did. It was like it went up to 90 or 100, and I was like, oh my god, my budget was 80.
Yeah, and so
I bought and sold Google because I didn't realize like how much money a search engine could make. Like I was like, holy shit, just like you guys, I bought Google. I told my dad, let's buy Google. We bought Google at IPO, wrote it up into like the fucking 08 crisis. And then I was just like, Dad, I'm not sure how these guys are going to keep making more and more money. It's just a search engine, right? At the end of the day, but it was way more than that. But
yeah, perhaps. Well, that's the thing we learn about these powerful monopolies. They know they can go vertically. We don't think about that, but they can scale out and take over and kill other businesses left and right. Recently, I heard about Amazon, Verizon, and AT&T. Part of the reason they're crashing, if this is true, at least this is what's going around, is that basically they're afraid of Amazon making their own phone. Like, I'm not even saying this is true. Yeah. The fact that they're talking about it, the fact that Verizon has to think about Amazon now as a possible competitor because they can do it if they want, and they can lose money on it for a decade. It wouldn't matter, So
well, let's transition to this, going back to Google, and then after Google, we're gonna talk about Tesla, guys. So this was really interesting over the weekend. Kathy Wood, I was about to say Kathy Musk. Kathy Wood basically had her team of ARC researchers put out a research report that says large language models are in the process of disrupting Google. Google is one of the top holdings in most growth portfolios. She's right about that. Bill Ackman owns a crap ton of Google. Analysts and portfolio managers feel safe, in quotation marks, because Google is one of the top weights in the benchmarks against which they are measured. But at the end of the day, Google is going to be cut out. They're not introducing custom GPTs. Gemini, which is their AI kind of developer platform, has been delayed. And ultimately, they believe LLMs are going to kill search. So here's the question. Given we're talking about companies that you're kind of going all in on, is Google maybe a BlackBerry type of scenario? Kathy has been wrong on all the picks she picked against big tech. If she just picked all 7 big tech, she would be up like 70% this year. She would be doing amazing, but she picked all the other Roku, all those names. Is she right about Google? That is the question. Does she have somewhat of a point that Google, at the $1.5 trillion valuation it might be a BlackBerry in the world in which AI is? And one more piece of context, then I'll give it to you guys. GPT-4 Turbo, what they announced a couple of weeks ago or last week, it has reduced the time and the cost of AI compute by almost 2x. Like it's just insane how fast this is moving. Is there a world in which this search engine actually dies? Let's start with Chris. Then move on to Carlos and Vitaly. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not anytime soon. If there is going to be some disruption, it's going to be internal to Google where they disrupt themselves. But even then, it's more about
the other day.
It's more about figuring out monetization, right? Like if you can, the LLMs and all the stuff are still not as monetizable yet. And the question is, how are you going to create consumer applications around this? Like, they're not there yet. And I think right now, even with all the stuff going on, Google's has like 90-something+% market share. So I don't know what she's talking about. We'll see what happens, but I don't see it.
Okay. Carlos, does Kathy have any point to get rid of Google from your portfolio?
I'll share something. Well, I don't know about getting rid of it from the portfolio, because a company like that will always choose to evolve. Like they're not just going to sit around and let themselves die. I think they were around. They saw what happened at BlackBerry. But I'm going to post this. This is something I bookmarked because I was interested. This did catch my eye. This is actually our boy Chamath posted this a couple days ago. U.S. researchers showed that within a few months of the launch of ChatGPT, copywriters and graphic designers on major online freelancing platforms saw a significant drop in the number of jobs they got, and even steeper decline in earnings. So generative AI is already taking white collar jobs and wages in the online freelancing world, changes in online. And so I've been kind of poking around with this. And as we spoke about at the beginning of the podcast, I've actually been using Chat GPT more, because the types of questions or the things that I'm searching for are much more nuanced than just like a website or an address, right? Like what's happening now is Google as a search engine is being kind of revealed to be not much more than a yellow pages, a database, and you want to find a connection to a database. But the types of searches that we do now are much more nuanced, where you just kind of want a friend that can give you some advice, right? So I don't know that it's going to happen right away, but I do think that search is going that way. And I think we've spoke about this before. I think what's missing is the right input device, right? We need some new input device. I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't know that I just think it's still a bit uncomfortable for people to have to type so much. And so with a better input device to an AI, maybe it was just more conversational. I do think that people would use that more. If I could just have an actual conversation with a search engine rather than typing everything out or figuring out what keywords I have to put to get the response that I want. Yeah, I think that would be the end of traditional search. But it doesn't mean that Google's not going to evolve. It doesn't mean that Google doesn't still have other businesses. But I will take the other side of that and say that personally, it would be probably one of the last of the big techs that I would put my money into if I had $1,000,
Okay, I'm going to put a poll in the chat what you guys think about Google. Vitaly, do you think Kathy has any point? Remember, she's going against all the other fund managers.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
The only real point on Google, the problem I see Google might face is the fact that Google's so big, and will they be able to move fast with if the leadership is incorrect, right? So Satya Nadella is showing he is the right leader for a giant company. He can move fast, right? He's like, all right, let's buy 50% of OpenAI immediately. But let me go back in time. OpenAI would not exist if Google did not exist. Okay. So the fact is, the actual technology of transformer technology is Google's, and they were idiots and they released it without doing their own products. So my fear is not that they cannot innovate. My fear is, will they keep the innovation in-house because they don't have strong leadership to want to push new products at the speed of light out, like sort of Elon keeps pushing new products out. So it's not about being big. I think they'll keep innovating. It's whether the leader, and maybe the current guy is not the right guy because he wasn't smart enough to say, we should push this out immediately and we should disrupt ourselves. That's the way you keep innovating. And Elon understands that. Satya Nadella obviously understands that. I think the Google CEO might not understand that. So that might be my only bear case. But in terms of innovating, they're innovating incredibly. And Elon even said this on, I think on the Lex Friedman podcast he said the reason he made Grok and everything, there's only several companies that can do what Google does. It's like Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft. That's it. You need so much compute and so much. Apple's not really doing it yet, but maybe they can. They can. But these monopolies are going to get even bigger because they have all of the compute for all of this AI. It takes so much, and Elon goes into depth about how much compute it takes. I think they talked about the brain using like 10 watts of power, and it takes 10 megawatts of power to do the exact same thing in terms of actual compute. We're not there yet in terms of real artificial AGI, real intelligence. So my point is, there's like 5 companies that can do this, and you think Google's going to be disrupted by who? I mean, it's very unlikely.
You know, one of the bear cases that is like very auxiliary, it's not necessarily the biggest bear case, but there seems to be some cultural problems at Google that I keep running into. I mean, dude, this is one of those things. This is like an intangible that you can't really put into like a financial sheet. You can't do all this stuff. You just have to keep looking at the culture. And let me show you what I mean. So there was this gentleman. He worked at Google Brain / DeepMind. He was leaving, of course. I don't know the reason why he's leaving, but he wrote a really nice post on X for his Twitter colleagues. So he wrote, "Today is my last day at Google Brain. Really grateful for amazing colleagues. Learned so much closely working on pathways, blah, 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 blah. The team." So he put up some pictures. You can see here, some of them are Asian, some are Indian. They went on to, like, I guess this was a, laser tag or whatever. But this looks pretty diverse to me. But then comes Karen, right? And she is in charge of DE whatever chair at whatever, and
diversity,
she was
education, and inclusion something.
Yeah, and so she was hired, and she's on the Google Brain team along with this gentleman. And basically, she, during this guy's last day, she felt the need to reply, "Sorry for dunking on your special day and DEI policing, but all these images are so bad. It's 2023.
So
yeah, it's 2023. What are we doing?" So then this guy writes, "Hey, what do you call it?" He's like, "I totally agree, but I hope you understand that I'm not responsible for hiring. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to work closely with some of the great female I guess researchers." So then she wrote back, "I'm sorry, I have to push back a little again." Right? When it comes to culture and change, everyone is responsible and culpable. Something is alarmingly wrong. And then she goes on to berate the guy, just saying, how do I, someone with no hiring power, just as a researcher, do better? And the worst one was actually this comment. She's like, "Feeling at least embarrassed when posting pictures like this." So you're telling me?
Can you show me the pictures again? Show me, what did he post?
It was him hanging out with a bunch of people that he worked with. Like, having drinks, working at the office.
Yeah.
And she got mad that he posted that picture?
I don't understand.
Okay, zoom into
these pictures.
Sum it up. This was his last day at work, and he posted some pictures of him working with his teammates saying, "This is my last day," saying terminated, whatever. She writes back as the diversity inclusion officer, policeman, and says, "Where are the women? This is not diverse enough. How could you be?"
You were fired, but why aren't you hanging out with more women?
Either you're fired or you quit or whatever it was. They're still ambiguous. But the idea was like, how could you even post these?
And this is, guys, and this is the thing that I hated the most.
This is the bear case. Yes.
One of the guys that he tagged as, "Hey, that's my boy," blah, blah, blah. He wrote back, 100% positive note here is that the issue is recognized by everyone, but it's truly unfortunate and frustrating that this problem has yet to be solved. So this dude snaked his own boy, yo. Right. What the hell?
He shivved him. He's like, "Fuck you."
Dang.
He's like, "I still work at Google."
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, bro. This
terrible.
This is also why Google lost the Maven contract that Palantir ended up taking up, because there were a bunch of employees saying we don't like Google working with the government, but Google's trying to make Google fucking China. Like, they're trying to make Google China a thing, but they won't help the U.S. government. Do you think this is a real bear case though, or this is just their search is still dominant enough that this can't be a big enough bear case?
It really is. It's the woke mind virus, man. It's real.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's gonna stop Google search.
Imagine
someone saying, "I'm not going to search on Google anymore," because of the woke mind virus.
It's not about that, but it's about what are your teams spending their time on. It's about what is happening internally. Do you have a culture that's trying to make the company better, or are you just all trying to police each other to have it look a certain way, or are you actually trying to make the company successful?
Yeah, I think Digital Blade K, whatever. I'm unsubbing right now if you don't bring a female.
That's exact. Imagine that if they were like, this panel is so not diversified.
You think we don't want women on the? They don't want to hang out with us.
Yeah, they don't. That's what I we would love to have a woman host. I don't have to do the hosting. She can handle it.
We have asked and we've searched, but
we've asked and we've
okay. Well, so
the best we could do is a Spanish guy.
Anyway, all our wives told us not to hang out with any more women. So there you go.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so going from Google, let's move on to Elon. Elon said FSD is coming in 2 weeks on Saturday. So let's get KRIS first, because I know Carlos and Vitaly have a lot to say. KRIS, your thoughts on in 2 weeks Cybertruck launches? And I know this is a running joke, this whole about 2 weeks thing, but you think FSD 12's coming out? Yes or no?
I don't know, man. I'm not the resident Tesla experts. These guys are the ones that you got to ask these questions to, man. Me, I just look at, okay, they're a car company. Car sales are down.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, but when I tried to tweet you some stuff about this on X, you got all pissy and we're like,
I didn't get pissy.
You like Tesla.
Dude, we know you love
and it's like, what about your fucking Disney, Marvel, the fucking movie tank? Like, what happened to that? What happened to your new bitch?
The stock price is up. The stock price is up. Okay.
Look, come on, man. Elon is the perpetual optimist in terms of timing. We know this. Okay, so it's going to take a lot longer, and I've been saying this for years and years. And Carlos, your date of end of 2024, is that when was your date of like robotaxis or FSD? It's coming up.
I said end of 2024. I think is when we'll see the first.
Well, it's coming up, and we've been talking about this for several years too. Yeah. Like in terms of like, I keep thinking it's going to be longer and longer. I'm an optimist about the future, but I think the future is really hard to build. So I think it's going to take way longer than Elon keeps projecting. And in the meantime, he told people that, hey, buy the car, you're going to have robotaxi. He's been saying it since 2014. And so people did buy the cars, and they even have orders for Cybertrucks because they're thinking they're going to have a fleet of robotaxis. Like, people bought 50 cars because, like, remember Dave Lee or whoever was ordering 50 cars because we're going to have a robotaxi fleet in 2 years. The car's not even out. Okay. So I don't know about this robotaxi fleet. And the fact that it's not an appreciating asset, cars are not.
No, I think
cars are not appreciating assets, no matter what Elon says and has been saying for a decade now that this is an appreciating asset. Maybe one day when FSD is fully here in 2030 or 2028, maybe then it's an appreciating asset. But he's been saying it for a long time. And let me just bring up a tweet, which is, I guess, has been gaining popularity. I'll share screen. Hold on.
Do you remember how to share screen? You haven't done this in a while.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Brave browser.
For those that don't know, Vitaly's been off shooting some fancy show for like the past couple months. So he's been doing big boy stuff.
Okay, so you see this? So I mean, this guy's obviously poking fun at it, and he said, I bought my Tesla Model Y long range in 2022 for $67,000. He really bought at the top. I mean, I paid a little bit more too. I think I paid 60 grand or something like that. Today, it's worth $27,000. It depreciates $2,000 per month. Elon Musk said I'd be able to add it to a robotaxi network, and it would do Uber drives while I slept. This never materialized. Well, this blew up, 6.3 million views. So, I mean, it's true. Elon Musk has been saying this. Elon Musk has been saying this for a long time, and it's going to take a lot longer. So, I don't know who, people shouldn't buy this car as an appreciating asset. They should buy it because they want a great car, I'm sure Carlos has something to say to that.
Carlos, your thoughts?
Okay, first of all, the reason why the prices went up was not because Elon wanted to raise the prices. If you look at the average cost to Tesla during that same time that they were selling vehicles at $60,000, they were like $50,000 to them for the supply chain issues caused by a pandemic. The prices were higher not because they wanted to have them be higher. It's because they had to still make a profit margin on them. Everybody's prices were higher. Used car prices.
It's not only
hold on. I let you guys finish. So the point is, the fact that it's a depreciating asset is because you bought them at a time when the prices were artificially high due to macro forces that were out of the company's control. And now that they're coming back down to normal, we're seeing the price and Tesla's voluntary margin compression on the vehicles in order to capture market share. That's the case. I bought my vehicle. My vehicles, both of them, were more expensive when I bought them than what they're would be currently valued now. But that's the same thing. It happens in housing all the time too. I mean, it's the same thing that happens in housing. The flip side was if you had bought a vehicle in 2018, 2019, you were able to resell that vehicle when used car prices shot through the roof. So it's different people gain, different people lose. With respect to the FSD thing, if you watch the drive that he did on FSD 12, and you saw the Lex Friedman podcast, it is a massive difference in the way that that FSD is functioning now than the way that it did before. There's no lines of code. They're just showing it videos. And
but do you think that's why it could come out in 2 weeks because it's easier?
Yeah, because the thing is that's what they were trying to get to. And the thing is, once you get to that point where it can actually input in, like he said on Lex Friedman, photons in, actions out, right? Once you get to that point, the training becomes much quicker. It actually, he was saying on Lex Friedman, he was surprised that it actually learned to read. It learned what each of the signs meant. And it learned that in every language, basically, because it noticed, okay, people are stopping by these signs that say these combinations. And so it understood that means stop, right? So yeah, I do think that there's a possibility that it would get launched. And it wouldn't surprise me too, because the Cybertruck launch is right around that time. And I'd imagine that they're going to ship those first sets of Cybertrucks with FSD because they want to use that as an opportunity to showcase the capabilities of it. And the people that bought 25, 30, 50 Cybertrucks is because they wanted to go and resell them. It's not because they wanted to have a robotaxi fleet. It's because they wanted to get the upsell on the limited supply that was out there. And then Tesla recently came out with a clause in the contracts that says you're not allowed to sell them within a year, after a year. And if you do, then Tesla has the right of first refusal in order to buy the vehicle back. So if you don't want to take the vehicle, then they get to buy it back from you. And then only if they give you written permission do you get to sell it to someone on the market, which I think makes sense, because otherwise all the rich people will buy them, right? And then they're going to end up jacking up the prices to everybody else who wants one and wants to skip the reservation number. They might pay 2 or 3 times. It's not going to be good for anybody. So
well, go wide again for a second before I play that Elon's own words. The problem is, no other car company is saying that we're going to have a robotaxi. So look, obviously I'm a bull on Tesla. I still got my shares. I'm still waiting for the day that this all comes out.
But GM did. And that's what
GM doesn't come out and say, hey,
and we saw what happened.
You're buying. GM does not come out and say, hey, you're buying an appreciating asset and you're going to make $30,000 next year on your vehicle when we put it into a giant fleet. And he says this basically every year. We know this. And we keep talking about it like it's happening soon. Okay. And it just takes a long time. That's all I'm saying is this takes a really long time. And Elon is like super positive that it can happen at any moment. And he'll do it. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying it's going to take much longer.
So wait, so you'll go, because would you make a like be specific?
And hold on, I do want to answer your thing too, that you said, oh, all prices of cars were going down. But okay, yes, prices of cars going. But this guy that I posted out this tweet, he said, the car has decreased to 2,000. What did he say? 2,000 a month, because obviously the price drop was so insane for Tesla as they keep compressing their margins that this appreciating asset nonsense that Elon has been saying for years, it's not true. It's just not true, and it's not true for anyone who bought it for the last decade.
The appreciating asset, if you listen to the guy, was tied to the 5 times benefit of value that the car could generate once FSD is solved and a robotaxi network.
Right, but he promises it basically every December.
But
forget about the 2 weeks. He basically says December we'll have it.
When the cars become autonomous and we flip the switch overnight. This is what he says on many conference calls. Overnight, the vehicle suddenly becomes 5 times more valuable, because 95% of the time, everyone owns every vehicle. It's sitting in your house doing nothing. So now it can go out and it can earn you money. And they calculated what that value would be on a robotaxi network that they would have by the based on
then the premise is that that's actually happening. I'm saying that that's not happening right now.
So okay, so as a gentleman's bet. So you're saying that no.
I'm saying this year there is no robotaxi.
Of course. But
so you want to bet on that? I'll make a gentleman's bet on
that. By next year, by 2024, Tesla will have the first robotaxi fares.
I mean, look, they can have a small
gentleman's bet, $100.
No, I believe they can have small tests. They can probably do that right now. Why can't they do that right now?
But that's how it's going to happen. But that's the only way it's going to happen.
I'm saying the main switch that turns my car in New Jersey. That's what I'm saying. The switch that turns my car in New Jersey. Hold on. The switch that you keep talking about that turns my car in New Jersey into a robotaxi fleet is not happening next year. Okay. So I'll make a bet on that. That is not happening next year.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the first robotaxi fares will happen by the end of 2024, meaning the robotaxi network will be up and running, even if it's in a small, by the end of next year, even in a small subset of the country, maybe San Francisco, so it's closer to the headquarters, or in Texas, so it's closer to the fact somewhere, major metropolitan city will start to see these pilot programs, just like Waymo and KRIS have been doing forever in San Francisco and Texas in certain areas. That's exactly how they're going to do it. And it'll slowly roll out, just like as with anything, right? You do it in a controlled area where you can get, gather data, have your little test area, make fixes before you start releasing it wide.
Okay. So
that'll happen next year.
I think D is saying exactly what I'm trying to say. He's been using the selling point for the 5 years. So what I'm saying is, has he been sort of fibbing a little bit for a decade basically on this? Because he's been saying this for a long time. 2014, I think, is the first time I remember, at least the videos that I've seen. So it's been almost a decade of him saying exactly what you're saying.
It hasn't been almost a decade. It has been. It's been
almost a decade. So my point is there no accountability for Elon because he's so great?
Is there what?
Is there no accountability for Elon because we all want this to succeed? But is there no accountability for him to keep saying that? And he has a lot of followers who just believe what he says.
Sure. And they've asked him about that. And they've been like, well, then how come it keeps getting pushed out if you keep saying it's coming next year? And what he says is it's one of the most difficult problems to solve. And what happens is we throw a bunch of compute at it. We see a bunch of progress. And it seems like we're, say, 6 months away. Then we stop seeing progress. And then you don't know what's broken. You literally cannot throw more compute at it. Something fundamental has to change where you get past this plateau. It's kind of like when you work out and you exercise. You see a lot of gains immediately. And then when you want to you want to lose that last 10 pounds, it's harder than losing the first 30. You have to fundamentally change, put a lot more energy to reach that next plateau. And that's what he says he's been finding. As they reach new plateaus in FSD, they keep feeling like they're just about there. And then they hit a plateau. And that was the genesis behind having to create the Dojo computer. They were like, we have to just actually create our own chips. We can't get enough chips from NVIDIA. It's not going to come from GPUs. We need chips that are designed specifically for this.
Look, you're a major bull, but the thesis is not there. In fact, he's lowered the price of FSD, which is a bad sign.
No, that was by request.
Okay,
that was by request. Hold
on. Let's get KRIS in here because he was going to say some stuff. Then
people requested
KRIS, go
that,
ahead.
actually.
We're going to say
just as a correction point, the supply chain issues with all the other car manufacturers, that limited supply of new cars coming onto the market. And Tesla did not have that problem because Elon and team had foresight to load up on a lot of inventory of chips and everything else. So while everyone else was supply locked, Tesla was not, or at least not to the same degree as everyone else. Tesla was able to jack up the prices because there were demand for cars. And at the same time, people were really excited about EVs. So they were able to get huge margins at the time. So that's one of the reasons why Tesla did exceptionally well on the margins during the time of whatever the downward spiral post-COVID, and everyone had money to spend. Credit was really easy to get at the time also because the interest rates were kind of low, right? So it made a lot of economical sense. Right now, things have kind of flipped the script a little bit where those supply chain issues have resolved at the major automakers, right? And at the same time, Tesla is now in a point where they're starting to actively compete again, and they also have to deal with a tighter credit market. So they're, of course, lowering prices to make sure that the sales volume get out. The last thing you want to do is sit on a bunch of non-sold inventory. So they're doing the right thing by saying, you know what, it's our time to just take as much market share as possible, and we'll go from there.
I'm looking for the chart because I wasn't just making that up. There was a chart that they had posted on one of their earnings. But this is some text that I'm finding supporting this. In 2017, Elon revealed that it cost Tesla $84,000 to make each vehicle. And on the last earnings call, they had announced that they had dropped that cost to $36,000 per vehicle. So they were spending more money in 2020 during the pandemic because they didn't have all of the supplies that they needed to make the vehicles for the full year. So at the beginning of the year, they had some inventory, but they needed to continue to increase production. So there was a choke point when basically you had to close all these businesses. A lot of their supply chains had to close. So it cost them a lot more money to make the vehicle, say the second half of 2020, first quarter or quarter two of 2021. And there's a chart that shows this. The input costs for Teslas went up. And he said this on many, many calls. Our input costs went through the roof in order to hit our production targets. Now, mind you, this is what happens when you have a CEO on a compensation plan. The compensation plan says you got to hit these production targets, and it really doesn't matter.
Remember when he got into a fight with California governor over COVID restrictions on
about closing down? Yeah, he didn't want to close down. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, this is, you could say he was trying to get his hit his compensation metric, his compensation plan metrics. But the point is, it caused, he has said he's traumatized. But the bottom line is it cost them a lot more money to make the same vehicles in 2020, 2021, when the prices were also at all-time highs. And that's when people were buying these vehicles. The people that bought those vehicles paid a premium for it because it cost Tesla an arm and a leg to make them. And they were also enjoying a 21% margin at the time.
I think you keep changing the subject. I'm saying he said the car will appreciate, that FSD will be out. People will have $30,000 extra in their pocket. You're just completely ignoring that.
No,
he said multiple times. And the fact is that is not happening.
He said multiple, that part. He said multiple times when FSD, he didn't say the cars are just going to appreciate in value. He says FSD may be the greatest increase in value, like overnight, that the world has ever seen. This is how he placed it. So he says, once we flip the switch and we have our robotaxi network and you allow your car to go and make you money, right? If you only use it the 5% that you currently use it, and the rest of the time, say 90% of the time.
Play my video right now.
You can
put my
make
video
90%.
on. Let's hear Elon's own words instead of our words. Okay, let me see. You guys can hear this? You guys can hear this?
Yeah.
2019.
Confident predicting autonomous robotaxis for Tesla next year.
Tesla's Autonomous Investor Day saw CEO Elon Musk unveil plans to roll out 1 million robotaxis by next year. Described as a cross between Uber and Airbnb, the service will allow Tesla owners to rent out their autonomous cars as taxis when they're not using them, effectively making some cash on the side. Robotaxis can essentially be any Tesla vehicle with autonomy.
So anybody can watch it, but basically he said this in 2019, 2020. He's expecting 1 million robotaxis. You're going to be making $30,000.
What happened? But let me ask you. Okay, but again, Vitaly, like
I'm saying, but that's what he said. I watched that event.
I understand.
I was really excited.
I understand. But I
remember that event.
But do you not understand that the entire fucking world shut down in 2020? You couldn't do anything in 2020.
That's a good point. That is a good point that Carl's making.
How can you hold Google, or how can you hold any of these companies liable for
I
claims
think Tesla did better because the world shut down. I think Google did better,
but I want to finish my point.
Shut down.
What I'm saying is you've got to understand that companies provide guidance. All companies provide guidance for the full year or half year, whatever it is. You cannot hold these companies accountable for guidance that they made in quarters when the entire freaking world shut down. What I'm saying is, if a company made guidance in 2019 of what they were going to do in 2020, it was not thinking.
Didn't you just say it again 2 weeks ago?
Global pandemic.
I mean, this Saturday.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like you pretend like that didn't happen.
You keep giving him a lot of credit. Like, he's been saying it since 2014. Hold on. Let's skip 2020, 21, 22. Let's skip all that. He's been saying it since 2014, and he's saying it now again. He said it last year, and after 22, 23, he's saying it. He says the same thing. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. This is what I keep going back to. I'm just saying it's not going to happen this year.
You also think that it's 2030 before it happens.
I think it's like 2028, 2030. That's probably more accurate.
I just want to go on record of that because it's going to happen.
I went on record.
It's going to happen before then.
I've been on record since 2020.
Then when it happens,
2028.
I want to see what you say in 2024 when they do have the first fairs, and we have the beginnings of a network starting to flesh out in 2025.
Right.
I really don't think you as an engineer really understand what that version 12 was. Have you like looked into what the massive difference was in version 12 and how fast the improvements in FSD should be from here? Plenty of other YouTubers.
I've seen the videos. Look, it is impressive. Of course it's impressive. I'm just saying there's still enough problems that those problems are on the edges of engineering, which are hard to get to. The 99.99%, whatever they have to reach, that's the hard part.
Yeah, but you don't need
reaching 98% excellent is actually not that hard.
But you don't need to solve that. You just need to prove to the regulators that it's safer than a human driver. That's the regulatory hurdle. We already have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know what that is. GM was operating vehicles, which now we know have
didn't
human
GM
operate.
just get shut down because a car ran over a guy because another car with a human hit that guy?
A car with a human hit that guy, then the car hit them.
GM gets blamed, basically.
Believe it or not, the reason why they got shut down, it was, yes, that was the incident, but it was because when they released the videos to the governing body, they edited the videos. They didn't show the full amount, and that was a breach of their contract for the right to operate. And so they said, wait a minute. Then they went into a deeper investigation, and that's when they found out that actually the reason why GM Cruise has not been able to scale is because it takes 1.5 to 2 humans per car, and they intervene roughly once every 2 to 4 miles. So basically, no one.
Fine, I'll take your $100 bet. 2024, sure, I'll take it. $100. Good. Cool. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
Gentleman's bet.
Gentleman's bet. Nice.
Let's see this KRIS video. KRIS, go ahead.
So I got a lot of bets happening on Twitter too.
So this is what it's gonna be like to pull over.
Sir, can you stop the
New
car,
York,
sir? Excuse me, sir. Hello, excuse me, sir. Stop. What the hell? Excuse. Sir, what happened? You know why I stopped you, sir?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have no problem for you.
Sir, who was driving this car here?
Eh?
Who's driving this car?
I don't know. To my driver. I'm sorry. Why I don't have the
Sir, are you drinking and driving? And you just
I'm not drinking, driving. No, I'm drinking, but I'm not driving. Why you problem here?
You switch seats, sir.
My friend, listen, no. Any
Sir.
problem you have it for me, talk to my friend over here.
Sir, you
My friend, listen to me, Mr. Polico.
who's
Ustedes nada más
driving
vienen a
this
joder la vida mía. Mira, me compré este carro para yo poder beber mi vaina tranquilo, para que nadie me joda.
Sir, you were drinking
I
and
talk to
driving.
you later. Talk to my driver, don't talk to me.
Sir, there is
Shut up, váyase para el diablo,
Sir,
coño. Entonces, váyase para la
Sir,
puerta.
sir, are you driving? Sir, you can't drive away from a police officer, sir. Sir,
All right,
excuse me.
pause it. What he says is, it's stop fucking with me. And the guy's like, who you driving? And he goes, listen, man, I bought this fucking car because they told me I could drink at the side, and I don't have to drive the fucking car. Talk to them, leave me the fuck alone. It's such.
That's good.
But technically, he's right. No. Technically, technically it's open container, so he's wrong about that. But he's right. He's like, I'm not the driver. Talk to the driver. If
Are you allowed to drink though in a car? Yeah, I don't even know if you're allowed to drink.
I don't know if you're not. It's
no
open container.
No open containers in the vehicles.
There you go.
No open containers in the vehicles.
Okay, can we do one last topic? I think let's got 10 more minutes. That's the conclusion to Tesla. Carlos thinks it's FSD is coming soon. KRIS and Vitaly think it's
but just to be clear, for people that say that I'm like either simping for Elon or that I can never criticize him, I don't think that he should be saying those things because they're being misunderstood the way people are. Even people on this podcast are misunderstanding.
I'm not misunderstanding anything. First of all,
I don't think he should say. I've
been listening to Elon for a long time. I love every AI day and love all of this shit.
I didn't miss you interrupting me every 2 seconds. I just want to finish.
I'm just saying this is what exactly.
Then just say it, and I want to.
While you're not making an apology for Elon, you're making an apology for Elon.
I'm trying to.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
Just seriously. Okay, you're at a 10. Let's bring it down to like a 6. Okay. What I'm saying is, I don't think he should be giving a specific time frame for that. But him saying when this happens, this will happen, I think makes total sense. It's the same thing like when we can have a fully reusable rocket, we'll be able to go to Mars. Like making those statements, I think are important as a CEO. But no, I don't think that. I think by and large, him being too specific on the date has hurt him. Has hurt him in the public because people are taking him extremely literal. And they're upset, and they have every right to be. So I'm not saying that I agree with him saying that, or I'm not saying that it's good that he's doing that or that he should be doing that. But him saying that we are getting really close to solving FSD, and that when we do, we're going to have a robotaxi network that's going to make you money. I think that's totally fine. It's a forward-looking statement.
Okay, we will see what happens with FSD. Let's do this topic because I want to do this one for the last 10 minutes. Xi Jinping is coming to San Francisco this Wednesday to meet with Joe Biden. And San Francisco now has cleaned up their entire homeless problem within a couple of days. And Gavin Newsom said, who's the governor of California, that when you have a guest coming to your house, you've got to make sure that the house is clean. So Gavin Newsom obviously wanted San Francisco to look a lot better. I'm going to try to pick up this clip in a second, but I just wanted to put it out there because I know we touch on politics a little bit. Why the hell did Gavin Newsom go to Beijing 3 weeks ago to meet with Xi Jinping? Does Xi Jinping think that Gavin Newsom is going to be the next Democratic candidate after Joe Biden's done and he wants to get friendly with them? And why is San Francisco clean within a couple of days when for a couple of years they couldn't get rid of homeless people because Xi Jinping's coming for a meeting? Chris, let's start with you and we'll go from there.
Because all of these issues are self-made California issues. And so it's easy to fix self-made issues. You know, it's like you ask any cop in New York City, okay, New York City, we have a crime problem. How long would it take to solve New York City's crime problem? Most cops will tell you within 3 months, we got this shit handled. It's the same thing. It's just bad policies that allow for the shit to happen. And so when you don't want to implement those bad policies, you want to reverse it. It's actually a very easy fix. So I think right now the boss is coming. You know, everyone knows who owns these guys. A lot of Chinese people, not Chinese people, but the CCP has a lot of vested interest in that specific part of the region. And so, you know, when the boss comes, you got to make sure that your desk is presentable. So that's what he's doing.
The funny thing about it,
Carlos, go ahead.
The funny thing about it is people have pointed out that they were able to do that in, I think, 3 days with no in no request for additional funding. So this is done with the current budget. Like they didn't even have to ask for more money. It wasn't even like they needed. They just spent the money. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the question. Did they put it under the rug? Did they just move them to a place temporarily and then 3 days later they're all going to be back in the same spot?
Well, that I don't know, but I don't know. Do you guys think that this is a coincidence? Did you guys see this? I got one of those massive alerts this morning in the middle of the night. So I don't know if you guys heard, but the I-10 freeway in downtown Los Angeles had a massive fire last night that burnt it basically in both directions. So the I-10, which is a massive hub in downtown LA, is now closed. They said indefinitely closed. They don't know how long it's going to be. Massive traffic problem. And at least at the beginning, when it was first announced, this was like 2:30 in the morning last night, people were saying that it was a massive homeless encampment that was set on fire that was underneath the bridges. So now they're saying, this is a day later, they're saying that it was intentionally set, the governor says. So I don't know. The massive fire that forced indefinite closure, blah, 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 was intentionally set, that there was malice intent, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I mean, the initial report that I had heard was that it was a homeless encampment. It was a homeless encampment with a lot of drugs, and it was getting cold, people starting fires to be warm. Things got out of control. There was a lot of things that were flammable. It went up in flames. So I don't know. Is this like a false flag thing where they're trying to make it seem like it was arson and it really was part of the homeless problem? We don't know yet, but it is kind of interesting. They just kind of clean up all the homeless, and then we have a massive a fire like this. So see,
the problem to me, the problem isn't necessarily just homelessness. It's actually the fentanyl crisis. And this is the part that I hate, because the hypocritical nature. The Chinese produce so much fucking fentanyl, and then they ship it over here, and it gets distributed here in the United States through Mexico and all the other channels. And one of the major killers of people right now is the addiction to fentanyl in California. Yet you want to break bread with the asshole coming from the fucking country that's sending all that shit here. Just that's the part that I don't understand. If I was the governor, I'd be like, listen, G, my condition of allowing you to fucking come here in the first place is stop the fucking fentanyl. And the US needs to get serious about this fentanyl crisis, because if it doesn't, it's going to fucking eat away at all these young people. Like, dude, I was looking at a video. You saw this one guy in his early 20s hocked up on fentanyl and all this, and it's just killing people. And yet this is the one thing that no one wants to take action on. So I don't know. It's crazy.
Vivek had a whole thing about that on the PBD podcast like 2 days ago. I don't know if I can find it, or I'll take a look after. But he was basically saying it's hard to try to use the stick with the CCP, because they basically make everything, right? So until we have all of our, especially our microchips, until all our microchips are made here, they're not really going to fuck around with China too much, because if they stop that, it actually would affect us a lot more than a fentanyl problem. And I'm just saying, financially speaking. So,
you know what? I take it back. Look at this. This is actually kind of interesting. Maybe this is the way to do diplomacy. Biden and Xi announced deal for China to crack down on fentanyl. There you go.
But what are they giving up? I mean, are they giving up Taiwan independent? Like, there's going to be some negotiation.
I mean, this is live. I was actually just searching for it. I was like, okay, let me just take a look. I don't know what the deal was.
The first time, U.S. President Bloomberg reported that under the deal, which is still being finalized, China would go after chemical companies to halt the flow of fentanyl and source material to make it. In return, Bloomberg reported the Biden administration would lift restrictions on China's Forensic Police Institute.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
What the fuck is that?
What the fuck? They're forensic police. What is that?
But like the thing is,
the chat
could ask for, why would they ask for that? That's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. Vitaly, you're on mute. This is incredible. That's why I want to cover this. This is very interesting.
Yeah. So apparently the DA has a report. It's kind of crazy. I just searched for it. The fentanyl flow into the United States, and then it's China. Look at this. Boom.
And India.
And you searched on Google, which is why Kathy's
don't
wrong.
I did not use OpenAI for this one. Yeah.
Don't forget about India.
That's crazy.
And India needs to fucking get its ass handed to it too. I'm just because I'm Indian, I don't fucking support drugs flowing through any border, dude. No, at the end of the day, American lives are the only things that fucking matter to me.
I want to ask this question. Newsom went to China to see Xi Jinping. He's like having ads of his presidency being shown in Florida against the Ron DeSantis supporters. Do you think he's gearing up to run in 2028? And do you think the establishment told him to sit his ass down for 2024? Because theoretically, he should be running in 2024. I mean, the guy's young, full of energy, all that stuff.
I would say he's running in 2024, and probably it's either him or Michelle Obama, and if not, Michelle Obama will be his VP.
No, but he's not. He hasn't launched.
They're already starting to turn. The mainstream media is already starting to turn on Biden. If you're seeing it already, they're already starting to turn on him a little bit. And Vivek actually, again, on that same PBD podcast, he was talking a bit about how, they got him on the same thing that they have Trump right now with these documents, and they have the Hunter Biden thing, but you're not really hearing it in the news. It's sort of like a screw. It's like a knob that they can just dial up if and when that they decide that Biden's got to go. What really started to do it was when they did those polls in the 5 swing states that Biden won last time, and he's losing awfully. And RFK is polling higher. So they're like, okay, he might have to go, get Newsom in there and Michelle Obama, and that becomes the actual ticket. Because if he can't guarantee them a win, or if they don't feel like they can manufacture a win around him, they will trash him. So yeah, I think Newsom's the guy. I think who's there setting up to be the guy, the next guy in line. That's what it seems like. I don't know what you guys think.
This to me just proves that Biden is just a puppet to whoever's actually pulling the strings in the background. The fact that they think that they can run Biden again, like Biden is losing cognition. Like he is not recognizing day-to-day stuff. So even all the stuff that we're seeing, like Biden and Xi announced blah, 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 bro, that's not Biden. That's another fucking entity in the background saying, hey, old Joe, come on, you got to get in with the Chinese guy and make sure you sign where we tell you. And that's about it. A lot of these policy decisions are being made by bureaucrats in the background. And Joe Biden is the face of this fucking thing, whatever the hell it is. So, I mean, to be fair, some of the policies, it seems like they're working. They're okay. That's why a lot of people are saying this is actually Obama's 3rd term. And he's going for a 4th term. So.
We played that. Did you play that when he joked about that on Colbert? Yeah. About him having his 3rd term being Biden's 1st term. He said,
why don't you think the establishment decided 6 months ago that Newsom is the guy? And why do you think they're still propping up Biden and not having Newsom have a full-fledged
strategically
campaign?
Strategically, you're in the DNC, would you do that?
Well, I don't think Biden can. I don't think Biden.
I know, but I'm saying strategically, would you 6 months ago, would you have said, hey, we're not going to run Biden anymore, we're going to run? Just think strategically.
Why would you not? What's the strategy behind Biden?
Okay, well, because
Biden sucks as candidate.
If you put him on the ticket, a lot of people just vote for the ticket. So, and if you take him off and do some new person, some of those people might change their mind.
But you're also giving your opponent 6, 7, 8 months to develop a strategy to attack that candidate. Versus
that's their point. I see what you're saying.
You come out at the last minute, and you have all, and you basically prepare on the sidelines. You have an enemy you have an opposing party that's not preparing to race against Newsom, that have spent all this money making
that's a
ads
good
against
point.
Biden, right? And then 3 months before the election, after there's been significant debates, you get him up there to do 1 or 2 debates, right? Just like the presidential debates. And they're not really prepared. Now they have to shift all of their research and all their energy to attacking a guy and do the research on him. But you have 3 months left, 4 months left. And that would make the most sense.
Right.
Is just not give them a chance to actually develop a strategy. Let them think they're facing Biden. And then you bring in Newsom and Michelle Obama from just out of nowhere, you know, and you make it seem like you had no choice because whatever, they'll come up with some reason why Biden can't. You know, maybe it'll be like, I don't think they would throw him under the bus because they would still need to be able to use his record. So they would make it something health related, right? He's unfit and he felt like it was the right thing to do to step aside my health and for the good of the party. I think I should step out, you know?
Biden's whole platform is at least I'm not Trump. That's pretty much it.
They want him, you know, the first time.
Let's get an update right now. Let's get an up November 2023. If it's Biden and Trump, who do you think's winning? If you
I mean 2024.
Not who would you vote for? Who do you think's going to win?
I think Trump's going to win.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Wait, next.
I'm not disclosing my political beliefs. I'm just asking you guys, who do you think's going to win? And put in the chat too. Who do you guys think is going to win if it's Biden? I think Trump's going to win. I think Trump's going to fucking demolish Biden.
Yeah.
Like,
it's sad, but I do think Trump would beat Biden.
If Biden wins, that's a confirmation that there's a deep state. That's pretty much it. At that point, I'll be like, bro,
all right, well,
YouTube's gonna censor us. Don't do that.
All right, well then last question. If he wins, who's his VP?
Who, Trump?
Who, Trump?
Yeah. Who's his VP in 2024?
Vivek, baby. Vivek's gonna be in the White House.
No. Yeah. He doesn't want someone to take his his thunder away from him. That's not gonna happen.
Did you watch the last debate, the RNC debate? The last one? V?
No.
I saw a little bit of it.
Vivek's opening statement was all about just saying, pick me as your VP. He was literally just like, he made a statement and it was like, I'm not going to win this, but I should be your VP because he was such an attack dog for Big T.
I don't think Trump wants that. I don't think Trump wants that.
I think it should be Jared Kushner, man. Jared Kushner is awesome. Like I saw the All In podcast. The guy's
it might be Jared Kushner.
Yeah, Jared Kushner is so level-headed.
Yeah,
dude, Jared Kushner. Yeah, I don't know about if Jared would actually do it. But
yeah, I think the optics of that wouldn't look good. He'd probably be fine just being in the cabinet, you know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look good.
But it goes to show you that when you put the right people in charge and have right kind of solutions, you get a lot of like a really like the way that he framed the whole Middle East conflict, in my opinion, was amazing. Like all the steps that they took in order to kind of diffuse the situation, even when it came to like the Gaza and Israel issue, he was very poignant and said, look, unless there's economic development in Gaza to the point where people feel like, hey, look, we're actually worse under Hamas than we are under being in partnership with Israel, we'll never be able to escape this. So I think that's the key. He and the Trump administration did a great job in bringing economic economic freedom to the Middle East, where it just got them to think outside the box, saying, look, if we stay with the current regime right now, with what we're doing, we're going nowhere. Instead, let's do economic development. So all over the Middle East, you're seeing economic development. And I think this time around, the fact that so many Middle Eastern countries are not 100% gung-ho behind Hamas actually shows the tangible benefits that happened under some of the policy shifts that were made under Kushner and Trump. So I think putting technocrats in charge that know what they're doing is a good move.
Have they offered ransoms yet?
What do you mean?
To the Palestinian people? Yeah, because the Israelis' position is like, we just want to get Hamas, right? So what if you say, okay, for every member of Hamas that you let us know who they are, like a 1-800 Crime Stoppers, like literally, here's where they are. Don't bomb the country. Here's where they are. This is the guy. This is where he's going to be. You basically out them out and give them 10 grand or whatever it is for each one.
I don't know, man. That whole thing is just getting out of hand. But I will say this, that Israel right now is losing the PR war. The PR war is at the end of the day, the thing that's going to either set you to be the genocidal maniac versus the people that are doing the right thing and making sure that they're defending themselves. And right now, all over the country, you're seeing these protests. All over the world, you're seeing these protests. And one of the things that you're seeing is it's a difference between using a scalpel versus a hammer right now with the whole with the Gaza thing. And I don't know how this is going to play out. But right now, Israel needs to get back into PR mode and get the the people behind Israel again, saying, look, our intention is not to genocide the Palestinians. Our intention is to just make sure that this does not happen again in the future, you know. So
easier said than done when people hide in schools.
No, I agree. They've
got munitions in schools. How do you avoid confrontation in public places?
Yeah, and this is one of the main issues that you typically have. Like in India, we faced the same issue when we had if you remember, we had something similar happen about 10 years ago. Was it 10 years? Almost 10 years ago. Where basically a lot of Muslim terrorists that were trained in Pakistan had come into Mumbai, India, and just randomly were shooting civilians. Okay, like I'm talking about, they had an entire siege in Mumbai, which is one of the most populous cities on the planet, and it was just jarring to see it happen. It was all caught on live camera, and you know what's really fucked up? The terrorists were actually attacking Jewish people in India. The limited people that they had. One of the areas that they attacked was I think actually one of like the oldest synagogues in India. So it's like one of the craziest things to see, like that who's actually the genocidal maniacs in those. So these goddamn terrorists. So India's response was not as strong, but then when Modi took over, I think Modi they had like a terrorist attack on one of the camps in India, for like an army camp. And Modi's whole thing was, fuck this, we're not playing games anymore. We're gonna target the head of the snake. And so they did like a bunch of surgical strikes and incursions into Pakistan, which is like almost like unheard of thing before that. So each country is developing different strategies on how to deal with this, but I don't know how Israel's going to deal with it. But in my opinion, the PR war is the most important war that Israel is going to have to face in the next like 6 to 12 months. Otherwise, they're losing. And Elon Musk, did you see the comments Musk made about what was happening, where it was like Israel is playing into Hamas's hands. Hamas goes in, attacks Israel.
They attacked hoping to get a disproportionately strong response to get and he also said that, you know, if you kill a Palestinian baby, you've most likely made more Hamas. So you have to, he said that, but he also did say it's something, but that there is no easy answer there. There is no easy answer there.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this show. 4 amigos are back. Thank you, 357 people, for being here. We will be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's the new date, at least for the next month. And we'll be here talking everything around stocks. CPI comes out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Tom Lee says we might get a crazy July type of rally if CPI is good.
For once, this guy's fucking bullish. Jesus Christ.
Wait, if you guys have 5 minutes,
positive.
If you have 5 minutes, I think CPI is on its way down. It's on
Can
its way
you save
down.
it for tomorrow, Chris?
But then the CPI will have already been out, and I can't say I was right. You know.
Okay. All right, so you say it's going to be down, but I do.
Okay, so give me a prediction. Give me a prediction. What do you think? It's I think it's 3.3. I say 3.3. What do you think it is? It's 3.7 last month.
3.1.
Carlos, what do you got?
I think CPI
3.1. Okay.
I think CPI is going to increase the value of my car by $30,000 a month. Coming very soon.
That's a lot. 30,000 a month.
Okay.
That's more than Elon says.
What do you think? 3. What?
I think
we
it's
got
down.
3.3 in the chat.
Yeah.
2.75. That's a little bullish. Vitaly, any number?
Damn. Benji.
No number, but it's down. Inflation is over. Stop talking about it.
Well, we will talk about it tomorrow when the stupid numbers come out.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right, this was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Love you guys. 4 amigos are back. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, bye, guys.
Later.
Have a good one. Good night, everyone.